Hello and welcome back to Calradia 1403. So, yeah, we're actually in the siege defense here, and I gotta say I'm actually pretty excited about this, just purely because we've never done one before, and indeed, I think a really good thing to do, and this is what we're gonna do after we do the ambush, is actually create a ballista. And the main reason why I think it's a good idea to create a ballista is because that actually has the ability to give you crossbow skill, or more accurately to give Barney crossbow skill. And so I'm very much hoping that we're going to be able to get on it and get a couple of kills and, you know, skyrocket our crossbow skill rather dramatically. So we're otherwise just going to be launching a little bit of an ambush here against the enemy's siege engines, because otherwise they're going to be a little bit difficult for us to deal with. You know, we don't really want them to have an easy time of just, well, immediately going into the siege, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they would do. Anyway, let's get out here, try to do some damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to really be working out too well. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. Pretty decent damage. Not killing anything right now, and I think it might actually be more difficult than we anticipate. Oh, yes. Yeah, this might be a bit of an issue, as you can quite clearly tell. We're actually losing a lot of people right now, which is quite surprising. Are these guys actually okay? Are they actually charging appropriately, or are they just going somewhere random? Because from what I can tell, they just seem to be going after the siege tower, which is not exactly what I want them to do. I would like them to eliminate the enemy's attack force. That is going to be our most important objective here, because then we are going to be free to do whatever we so desire. And as you can see, yes, they did go over to the siege tower first, and these are all my Rhodoks sergeants, of course, and they're the ones that are actually going to be doing the damage. Everyone else that we had with us was not. They are going to be much worse at that. So we're just going to do a little bit of damage, you know, just a little bit of damage here and there. Enemy I always find that quite funny. The text is actually incorrect. I don't know whether you saw that. Yes, it's misspelled. Reinforcements is misspelled. I don't know why, but yes. Anyway, there we go. Did we actually do it? Yeah, we destroyed the siege tower and the battering ram, and now they have to make it again, which is obviously fantastic. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to retreat. And then we are going to see what happens. So there you go. We actually did not destroy the siege tower. What? We didn't destroy the siege tower? Okay, that's kind of strange. I thought we did. Okay, well, that's kind of annoying, isn't it? Well, anyway, we only have 2 days worth of food remaining in the garrison here, so it's probably a good idea that they actually do proceed to come in. And they will most likely do that in just a moment. Oh, plus 50% damage when you hit an enemy in the head with a polearm. Now, this is obviously the reason why having RBM recalculate the damage is actually kind of good. Because perks like this become much more useful than they were before. Because in the base game, without any kind of mods, most of the time, if you hit an enemy on the head, you're going to kill them instantaneously, so the plus 50% damage doesn't really do much. But when you hit someone on the head in RBM, unless it's a face hit, sometimes you're not actually going to kill them. And so the 50% extra damage might actually help us. Anyway, let's see. Cross our fingers and hope that they are actually going to be going in to fight us. No, they're actually just building ballistas right now. A bit strange that they're building ballistas. I don't know why they would do that, because I have catapults, and as you can quite clearly tell, they're actually going to lose a huge amount of people due to siege bombardment casualties. You could see here, actually they're only losing 3. They're losing 3 every single time we kill one of the ballistas. That's a bit strange. Usually they're going to lose a lot more than that, but apparently not. Anyway, look at the walls. The wall HP is literally 84,000 almost, which is quite significant. I'm actually kind of surprised that they're not going in yet, but I'm assuming that what they're doing is they're waiting for the garrison. I think they're waiting for the garrison. That's more than likely what's happening here, because we're out of food, as you can see, And yeah, that's going to be a bit of a problem. I did manage to recruit a couple of volunteers from in and around the area, and I placed them smack dab in the garrison, and I was kind of hoping that they would help us just a small amount, just to do a little bit of buffering, just a little bit of buffering to make sure that we're not going to immediately have some massive army of over 1,000 come up to us. But thankfully King Harlaus is only attempting to attack us with about 420, which is not actually that bad. However, we are maybe now suffering a little bit of starvation. It doesn't seem like it. A bit strange that we're not actually suffering that yet. Maybe they're taking from my food supplies, because I actually do have 104 days worth of food, so it kind of makes sense that they might. But yeah, as you can quite clearly tell, they've actually lost over 40 units now from siege bombardment casualties. This is actually one of the main reasons why I personally think, yeah, look at this. They literally gave up. They literally gave up. They gave up their siege because they sustained too many casualties, which I think is hilarious. And this is exactly what I was talking about before when I said to you, yeah, siege bombardment casualties, they're actually so incredibly high in RBM. It's insane. And, whoa, these guys actually had, look at this. This guy has a really good composition. Look at that. He has 28 sharpshooters, and he has 25 Swadian knights. 25 Swadian knights. That's quite a good amount, to be honest. That's a pretty good amount. Anyway, considering King Harlaus is, I don't know, he's just given up. I'm going to go over to Terrae Castle, and I'm going to push the advantage here, okay? I'm literally going to push the advantage, and we're not going to do much. All I'm going to do is get a siege tower and a battering ram up and running, and that's it. I'm not actually going to do anything else. This is another one of those cases, by the way, where I probably should have spec'd into engineering. Yes, I probably should have spec'd a little bit into... Oh, no, hello, there he is. Okay, this is fantastic. It could be fantastic. It very much depends on if I can maybe get into... Nope, that guy decided that he was going to be a bit slippery. Alright. Okay, well, we can go with... yeah, we can actually go into a little battle here in just a moment. The Saranids have declared war on us once again.
It's been a while.
Right, okay. Little bit interesting. Okay, what's actually going on here? Why do we only have Liena? Oh, they're just villagers. I thought that was a vassal. Alright, well, never mind. Okay, well, we'll just do a nice little auto-resolve here. Get our medicine skill to 125. We actually lost some sergeants for some reason. How did we lose sergeants? Okay, that's actually kind of weird. Usually you're not going to lose that many, because the auto-resolve in Bannerlord is much better than it is in Warband, but well, we still lost quite a few people, which is kind of strange. But we do have quite a lot of Rhodoks sergeants as it is. We've got 52 of those guys, so it's not going to be super harsh. Yeah, okay. I made I made another caravan, as you can see, out of Salidra, the exile there. That is one of our companions, of course, and she got herself taken prisoner again. I spent 22,000 on her caravan, getting her better units and things like that, and, well, that's what she did with it. She just, got herself captured, which is not exactly great. Prindor is over there attempting to take things, so we are literally just going to move down to Terrae Castle once again, and I'm going to try and see what I can do, because this is exactly the point. I see. Yes. Okay. I'm going to finish what I was about to say first before I, talk about the peace agreement here. This is exactly what I was talking about. The ability to stretch the one relatively powerful army as thin as you possibly can, that is probably one of the greatest things you can do in this game. No matter what, it's all to do with just making sure that the AI has an extremely difficult time deciding on what they want to do and where they want to go and how they want to do it, and this is exactly what's happening right now. Now, I'm not sure if I'll... yeah, see, that's exactly what I was talking about. Not sure if I'll have enough time to be able to take the castle. Unfortunately, I did not have even enough time to construct our base siege camp. So yeah, Turby Castle is no longer a target of ours, which is very sad. Yes, King Graveth deciding to make peace with, you know, the Swadians, and it's actually very, very surprising to me because we are actually the ones paying 600 gold, even though the Swadians, as you can quite clearly tell, are much, much worse off than we are. Alright, so it's actually time for us to go into a battle. Finally, into a field battle, in actual fact, because obviously we didn't really, well, we didn't really do much so far, did we? No, we didn't really go into any battles or anything like that, but we did try to manipulate the AI somewhat and try to get into a siege defense, but as we know, the AI can be very, very stubborn when it comes to entering siege defenses. Not sure why that is, but yep, if they are unsure whether they're going to be achieving victory, they can be extremely difficult to deal with. So yeah, that's unfortunately what happened. So it's going to be a bit of an issue. What is actually going on here? Why has my... Wait a minute.
Soldiers!
Why has this changed? Do you see the menu at the bottom there? Why has that changed? I have not changed any settings. Usually it's the standard horizontal menu, but now I've got like the radial one. That's kind of weird. All right. I guess that's a little bit strange. That's kind of weird. All right. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that that's kind of annoying, considering, you know, I'm not actually used to that, I did not change it, so maybe the game got an update or something like that and reset my settings or something, but yeah, hopefully not. Anyway, let's do... yeah, I was gonna hope that we could do a little bit of damage there, but it looks as though we're just gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way, and we're just gonna have to go really, really close to the enemy and try to take them out that way. That's probably going to be how we do things, and maybe we can just... Yep, there we go. We can speed them up a little bit. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Let's put these guys... Yeah, this is really weird now. I'm not a big fan of the... I'm not a big fan of the radial menu, the new look of the, you know, the orders and all that stuff. So that's the reason why I play with the other one. But yeah, kind of weird that happened. All right, well, it's okay. It's okay. We don't really need it to be able to achieve victory here. I've put my people into a nice little shield wall, and that's going to get us some good damage. Oh yeah, and we're also not going to be taking that much damage either, which is quite nice. Okay, let's just try and see if I can do some damage here. Obviously, now that we have the guards perk, anytime I hit on the head, that is pretty much a guaranteed kill most of the time, unless we're dealing with someone that has an insane, really, really good helmet. Like that guy, apparently. Yeah, a lot of these guys I'm actually hitting on the head, and it is not really helping me that much. Yes, it's kind of funny. I'm only doing 60 damage. Why am I only doing 60 damage? That's kind of weird. Anyway, let's just tell these guys to charge in. Going to tell my archers to charge in as well. And it does seem as though we are getting quite a few kills. I'd actually like to see how much my crossbowmen are doing. So I'm going to be taking a look after this. Because I know for certain, by the way, this is almost a certainty, that the crossbowmen are going to be much, much better if we did not have RBM. Obviously, that is very much a clear, you know, indication, because we've been working with RBM for quite some time, obviously, and the crossbowmen are fundamentally just absolutely terrible. Like, they really don't do that much, unfortunately. But that, you know, that's just RBM, you know. They're trying to make it so that entire armies filled with crossbowmen and archers and things like that are not, you know, quintessentially the most dominant on the field. Because they could be. That's the funny thing. They could be. You know, if you had a bunch of Rhodoks sharpshooters in the original game in Warband, you know, you run around with just them, and you put yourself on a hilltop somewhere, and you have a bunch of Rhodoks spearmen and stuff like that in front of them. How are you ever going to win that? You know, even if you're using cavalry in that point, you know, that's going to be extremely difficult, at least in my opinion. But they are gods when it comes to siege defense. They're really good when it comes to siege defense. Anyway, we're just going to be taking these, and we're just going to be moving on. Thank you. I don't really care about the cash that much. All I care about is the roguery skill, actually. So I'm hopeful that what we're going to be able to do is go over to Charisse and maybe even besiege it. However, there is a very large army, or a couple of large armies, actually, relatively close by. And it's highly unlikely they're going to allow me to besiege this. There's only 243 in the garrison here. But as you can see, they're actually attempting to take this. So I'm actually going to go in here. And this is hopefully going to distract them. I am very hopeful that... Oh! Sultan... Oh, this is Sultan Hakim himself. Oh, this is very interesting. And he's also... Ah... This could be good. He's actually deciding to bring the garrison as well. As you see here, the town garrison decided to sally out. Okay, this is going to be very interesting because generally, I would... I'd probably say it would be pretty easy for us to win in the actual siege, because we've done, you know, sieges like this before. And if I can, you know, construct a siege tower, a battering ram, or something like that, not for any particular reason, but just as a, I don't know, as a decoy, pretty much, just as like a decoy, because that really does make a big difference in my opinion. Because then the catapults and things like that, they're all going to be focusing on the siege equipment rather than focusing on trying to eliminate my own troops. And in my opinion, I think that makes much more sense. Anyway, we are otherwise gonna have a pretty easy time here, or at least I think it's gonna be a pretty easy time. And I'm sorry, I'm way too bothered by this menu in the bottom here, in the orders menu, so I'm actually gonna change that right now. Alrighty, there we go. We actually did it, so that is fine. As you can see, we now have the wonderful bar menu instead of the radial menu. I'm not entirely sure, as I say, what happened there, but, you know, there you go. It happens, it happens. And we're otherwise gonna go bonk on a bunch of these guys. Oh yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. And we can... unfortunately, my horse is actually lame right now, so I really should have replaced it while it, you know, recuperated a little bit. But, yeah, I'm a little bit stupid sometimes, so I do tend to forget stuff like that, but that's okay. You know, that's not really that much of a problem, because we can continue to do pretty good damage. You can see here, we're still killing enemies and being a disruptive force, which, in my opinion, is the main deal here. And yeah, if we can literally just stop the archers from firing for any length of time, even if it's just a couple of seconds, that is really all that I care about, you know. Most of the time, that is literally all that you need to achieve victory. I'm actually losing quite a few people here. What am I actually losing, though? That's the thing. What am I actually losing? Am I losing... No, I'm not losing crossbowmen or anything like that. I should have actually kept my people in shield wall formation for a much longer length of... well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, I didn't even put them in shield wall formation this time, so I guess that's the point. Maybe I should have put them in shield wall and then taken them out a little bit later on. Oh, I see, I see. I think the main reason why we're having issues actually doing damage when we hit people on the head is because their helmets are so good in comparison to their body armor. Their body armor is absolutely awful, so I think a good way to go about this is to literally hit their torso. I think to hit their torso or to hit their arms or something like that, you're probably going to be getting much more damage out of that than if you were to hit their heads. Obviously, it very much depends, but it just goes to show that there are dramatically different damage profiles when it comes to what kind of enemy you're fighting, or what shall we say, what kind of troop you're fighting. Because you can probably see here, that if I bring out my crossbow, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to do anything more than just shoot once. But we got 36 damage on that guy with a crossbow shot, and I wonder if I can get a headshot. Oh, I knew I wasn't going to hit that. You know, it's so funny. I psyched myself out before I even started aiming. Isn't that fantastic? Yes, that's great. Anyway, there we go. We did actually end up losing 10 troops, which is kind of unfortunate, but not many of them were sergeants. Actually, quite a few were sharpshooters. I don't really care about the sharpshooters that much, even though technically in the in Warband, sharpshooters are the best, and you don't really want to lose any. But because of RBM, sharpshooters are not as good, you know, as sergeants, for example. But we do have many more sergeants on the field, even with the plus 16 that were, you know, wounded and stuff like that. So it might just be relative in that sense. But it's quite strange that the we lost so many sharpshooters. A bit weird that we lost so many of them. Anyway, 71 renown there. And we can indeed take Sultan Hakim prisoner, which is exactly what we wanted to do. Well, is it? Is it what we wanted to do? Not really, but, you know, he decided to come in and fight us. So, who am I to say no? Right, who am I to say no to him? Alright, let's get those guys. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to sell these prisoners just yet, as far as I can tell. So, maybe if we could take Cherise. Alright, so I'm literally going to rush in here. This is just moments, mere moments after my siege camp has been established. And all I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to go for it. You know, I'm literally just going to go for it. There is going to be very, very little delay here. We need to make sure that we get in there as soon as possible, because I'm pretty sure the siege at Tubalis Castle is going to be ending soon, or maybe has already finished. And if it has already finished, then we can expect a retaliation relatively fast. And so let's just try and do some damage here. I gotta be a little bit careful, bear that in mind, obviously, because I have the ability to get completely and utterly outmatched quite easily, or maybe not, because my Rhodoks sergeants are absolutely beastly, and they are doing a fantastic job of supporting us this time around, funnily enough. Other times we've not had this much support, that's for sure. But it does seem to be working out much, much better than beforehand. Good damage right there, 54 hits on the shoulder. Unfortunately, not a lot of these hits are actually going to be that good. Of course, I could use my sword a little bit. What about that? What about if I use my sword? It might be kind of fun if I can make it work. Obviously, thrusts are the way to go. Yeah, unlikely I'm going to be able to get anything coming up from this. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a bit of an issue here. Maybe we can get some assistance. I'm not sure what's going on with the environment right now, causing the camera to kind of weird out a whole bunch. But, alright, okay, fine. I guess that's how it goes. And these guys are just standing here. And they're raising their shields up, of course. That is to be expected. However, maybe I can snipe one of them. Like that guy. There we go. Yeah, so now, this is the funny thing. If you hit with a headshot with your crossbow, you're more than likely going to get a kill. But if you don't, and you hit, you know, something else, like for example I don't know, body, some other body part, you're probably not going to get a kill. That's basically how it goes, which is, I suppose, to be expected. I think that is, kind of okay, I suppose, to a certain degree, considering my crossbow skill is only 46. You know, we have to remember that. You know, I'm not running around with 250 or something like that, because if I had 250 and I still wasn't killing enemies in one hit with a body shot, then maybe there's a little bit of something that could be done there. Maybe I just need a better crossbow. But I haven't actually seen anything better than what I currently have, so there is that. Anyway, that is indeed a victory for us. And how many did we actually lose? Let me have a look. Oh, we lost 14. Quite significant. Yeah, quite significant, but that's okay. We lost 4 sergeants, 6 sharpshooters, and we gained 130 renown, 100 influence. Now, this renown gain is utterly insane. This is exactly the kind of thing that we want. And as you can see, these fellows were actually all taken prisoner by the Saranids, and I have now freed them from their captivity, and we are now in good spirits with them. I am literally probably going to not ransom them right now. I could get a lot of roguery skill from that, maybe, but do I want to do it? Probably not. I think I'll just do this. Yeah, there we go. 3. Oh, look at that. 3 skill points. 3 skill points in roguery. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, we could go for know-how here if we want to do the caravan looting increase. I think we're probably just going to go for invest light, considering I do own a couple of villages, so it makes much more sense. We could go for surging blow. We could go for less charge damage. I think we'll go for surging blow. A little bit more damage output. Never hurt anyone, except our enemies, of course. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.